And when we have particularly, as we have just endured, and they should be welcomed into something quite different. It's all too clear in Europe today, as indeed the effects of the consequences, not just in terms of economic hardship, justice, societies without freedom. Country soon have an impact in others. And we are determined to pursue a path of peace and that tend to blame others. Europe shares with President Ahtisaari to prevent conflict, to foster the rule of law, because I think that is indeed practices enhancing our interpersonal mediation facilities in this effort for peace.
Thank you very much, Madam Gomes, and Honorable President Ahtisaari, distinguished colleagues, guests, friends. Indeed, it's a pleasure, and I feel privileged being here today and have this possibility to take the floor and address to you. I do not have a big experience of being in the Parliament, but still, in this short experience that I had, and I do see an important role of the Parliament and parliamentarians in mediation of the conflicts, in disputes resolutions, as well as in prevention. A prevention which unfortunately in my country, a small country in Europe with a very short history, we unfortunately had disputes, also an armed conflict. And I would say that one of the reasons at that time, 20 years ago, those conflicts, well, one of the reasons is that at that time, Parliament or parliamentarians, they did not have either experience or maybe will also to prevent the conflicts. We have success stories in mediating a conflict, and I would say a good experience in that it's related to autonomous region that we have in the south of the country, Găgăuze. And I'm very happy and proud that here today we also have between us Mrs. Vlach, the governor of this region, who will definitely also have the possibility to share her views and opinions. 20 years ago, we managed, by working on a special law for the status of this region, and approved that law, which stays as a base for the settlement and cooperation between the central government, central authorities, as well as the region of Găgăuze. Of course, there are rooms for improvement, but still, it was a start. This law now, special status, is the law which coordinates the authorities, the relationship on different levels. For example, the governor of the region of Găgăuze, by constitution, is also a member of the government at the central level. We do have a good, even human cooperation between people or from both sides, but the role of the Parliament at the central level and the local level stays, again, being very important. These days, I really hope that Moldovan Parliament will approve a new decision related to a working group between the local parliament of Găgăuze and the central parliament, the national parliament, a working group which it will not be just a one-off work with one mission, but will be a permanent base for discussions, dialogue, and I'm really very happy that CMI took the role of supporting and providing technical expertise, technical support, as well as to work on the internal regulation, dispute settlement resolutions, and all which is necessary to have really a productive dialogue at the end of the day. There is another region in Moldova called Transnistria. It's still a frozen conflict. Tremendous work. It's accomplished in dialogue in different formats, and the famous format 5+2. And in this case, I would say we did not yet use all the opportunities of the communication also between the national parliament and that local parliament. I was giving yesterday in a short group an example of how sometimes it's easier to have an approach just by picking up the phone and calling. So I had an experience like this. In a few weeks after coming to the office, I found a phone call from my counterpart from Transnistria, and I called and agreed for a meeting. It was planned to stay for 30 minutes in a meeting, and I can tell you that we stayed 4 hours. That person really was very hungry of communication. He was missing a communication on different areas. We discussed about social things, education, medical system, political, economic. So sometimes a simple communication can build and really create a platform for better dialogue in the future. I believe that parliamentarians really have a role also in preventing conflicts, as well as to mediate. And who could do it better than parliamentarians sometimes, based on their experience of working in the different groups of the parliaments, coalitions, and others. So allow me to express the gratitude and appreciation for those who organized this event, and we really think it is very useful these days specifically of so many challenges that we have to face. And wish good luck to everybody, and my big respect. Mr. Ahtisaari, all the best.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, and thank you for already highlighting this interesting and important experience of yours, that indeed a human personal move can really help dramatically communication at the political level to be established or reestablished, and really make a difference in trying to sort out a conflict and conflicting situation. Is yours. We all want to hear you.
Ladies and gentlemen, members of the national parliaments and members of the European Parliament, dear friends. When I established Crisis Management Initiative 15 years ago, I had an ambitious vision in my mind. I wanted to create a conflict resolution and peace-building organization which does not only solve conflicts between two or more conflicting parties, but contributes to a wider development of peaceful societies. Let me explain briefly what I meant by that. During the last few decades in my career in the field of mediation, I have many times encountered with people who think that solving conflicts and making peace depends on them, their know-how and abilities as individuals. Let me assure you, if this is the basic assumption from the outset, one is not able to create peace in a sustainable manner. Making peace is always teamwork and collective effort, which takes place at many layers of the society. Peace is not only a piece of paper that is signed by those in power. Peace is a process, a social construct which lives and dies by everyone involved: politicians, citizens, institutions, civil society, businesses, and so forth. So if one considers conflict resolution and mediation only as a distribution of political and economic powers, as many mistakenly take it, he or she will never succeed. Have to be taken into account when negotiating and implementing peace. Conflicts don't emerge